All right, let's get right to it, starting with that monster storm. We're going to have a full weather forecast in just a moment. We want to start checking in with our journalists stationed all across the country. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda joins us from Central Park here in New York City. NBC News reporter Gary Grumbach has more from Washington, D.C. So, Emily, the weather blamed now for at least 9 deaths across several states this morning. Still more than 200 million people are under cold alerts. Just tell us about the impacts left behind by this storm.
Hey guys, good morning to you. Well, officials calling this winter storm an Arctic siege, and it's easy to see why. We're talking about the bitter cold and then an immense amount of snow. Here in Central Park, we're looking at nearly a foot of snow, making it the largest snowstorm in New York City in some 5 years. And that light, fluffy stuff we saw falling from the sky yesterday, it's now a lot heavier and it's really icy because of the freezing rain overnight, along with dropping temperatures. Similar scenes of blankets of snow seen across the country. Philadelphia recording more than 9 inches of snow, Providence, Rhode Island, a foot of snow, and Boston 16+ inches of snow and counting. And you can see why it's making a mess on the roadways, at airports as well. And the heavy snow, and in parts of the country up to an inch of ice, causing so many tree branches and power lines to snap. That's why hundreds of thousands of Americans are waking up in the dark without power in these bitterly cold temperatures this morning. So far, officials say tragically 9 people have died in this winter storm from things like the bitter cold. One woman in Massachusetts tragically died when a snow plow plowing a parking lot there had backed up into her. And there's a lot of concern this morning as the morning commute gets underway. Officials urging people to stay off the roads again, because I mentioned we got a lot of snow, but then also there was freezing rain for much of the country, and this bitterly cold that is turning any kind of moisture into ice, guys.
Gary, let's bring you in here from D.C. I mean, we saw the storm just cause travel chaos, delays, cancellations at airports all over the country. What do we think that means for those that need to catch a flight this week? How long is it going to take to get back on track?
Yeah, the roads are a mess, but the skies actually may be messier. We saw more than 12,000 cancellations yesterday. We haven't seen a number like that since the days of COVID, when things were canceled because of the pandemic. And today does not look like it's going to be a whole lot better. Already 3,500 cancellations, according to the FlightAware misery map, in the U.S. and going out of the U.S. And part of the problem is that the airports need to get the planes de-iced that are already sitting there. They need to get the tarmacs clean of snow and of ice. DCA, LaGuardia were completely closed yesterday, in part because they simply couldn't move the planes. And the other problem here is that they need to get the planes in the right place. Everyone's out of position for flights that are going to go today. So it's going to take several days until everything gets back on track at the nation's airports, guys.
Gary, I also want to ask you about power outages. PowerOutage.com says about 800,000 people still without power this morning. What areas are in the dark right now? How long could it take to get power restored? That's important because this bitter cold has set in.
Yeah, this was a storm that at one point stretched from New Mexico up to Maine, and that's about where we're seeing power outages, right? A little bit everywhere, but there's some places that are particularly hit hard here, and one of those are Tennessee. We're seeing more than 250,000 folks that are out in Tennessee, and in large part because of the above-ground power lines. What's happening here with the sleet and with the freezing rain is that it's collecting on the lines and collecting on the trees, bringing down the trees, and the weight of the ice is bringing down the lines as well. And this is not the kind of thing that crews can just come out and fix in a few hours. It's going to take a significant amount of time, especially in Tennessee and some of the rural areas, for folks to get to them and to get this power restored, guys.
Emily, snow has mostly stopped, but we are just still seeing this cold. You mentioned it, 10 to 40 degrees below average. What does that mean the biggest concerns are there for areas that have been impacted throughout this week as it gets so cold?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to read on the camera, but even when I'm merely breathing, you can see my breath. That's just how cold it is. And it's not just New York City. It's much of the country. Parts of the state, the governor had said, actually in the minus 30s and 40s over the weekend with this winter storm. That's actual temperature, not wind chill. And so a concern with that cold is, as I mentioned before, turning any kind of moisture into ice. I talked about the consistency as well. And so this is a heavy snow to clean up. You're going to see piles of snow like this all over the city and also in those hard-hit regions of the country, snowplows working around the clock. That makes clearing the roadways a bit harder, just the consistency and the weight of the snow, and it's why we're seeing so many school districts actually close school for the day. From Memphis to Atlanta, Philadelphia to Boston, millions of kids, a lot of kids are going to be staying home. Here in New York City, they've resorted to remote learning, and some districts across the country have said that we could see several days of school cancellations because of just the sheer mess that is required to clean up, and with the bitter cold hanging on. I mean, minus 30 and 40 actual temperature. It's hard to fathom, guys.
Yeah,
and no snow day for kids in New York today, but at least they don't have to go outside. That's the important thing. Emily, Gary, we're grateful to both of you for being out there this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Get warm now. All right, for a closer look at where things stand now that the worst is over, let's take a look at your morning news now weather.
Yeah, meteorologist Andrea Romero joins us now. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. We're going to take a look at those snow totals that we have so far, stretching from Texas all the way into New England. We can see in Dallas, we have a reported 1.5 inches on the ground. In Oklahoma City, close to 8.5 inches. In Little Rock, a little bit over 8 inches coming in St. Louis. And further on east, we have in the nation's capital, close to 7 inches fell there. While in New York City and Central Park, we had 11.5 inches. And in Boston, we had close to 17 inches, and we're expecting more snow perhaps accumulating in that area. As we can see, we are dealing with light accumulating snow still in eastern New England as the storm pushes out, and of course we are dealing with those temperatures that are remaining below zero. We do have a clipper system that's going to be moving into the Great Lakes, so we are expecting more snow squalls and strong winds, so this winter doesn't want to let up, and we're expecting snowfall forecast through Thursday, especially in a Tug Hill plateau of up to 2 feet due to that lake effect snow. Right now, over 60 million people are still under winter weather alerts, including some ice warnings down in Atlanta, not because it's coming down, but because what's already on the ground, because we're dealing with those record low temperatures. It's dangerously cold today. We can see those temperatures that are going to be below average, maybe up to 20, 30 degrees, as we can see there in the Central Plains. Temperatures that will be freezing will continue into tomorrow, stretching all across basically half the country at this point, and no relief for late week. We're looking at those temperatures that are going to be maintaining those cold numbers across the region, and that's going to continue into next week as well, with colder than average temperatures expected next week. Drier than average conditions will persist across much of the country. So looking at the week ahead, the snow will be lingering today in the northeast. We have that Arctic chill that's extending all the way into the south. That Canadian air just keeps coming down, and those temperatures will be really cold. For all those cleanups, you want to make sure you bundle up and you take it slow when you're out there shoveling that snow. Very cold air continues Wednesday. We begin to see some northwest rain moving in along the western part of the country. That's been quiet considering everything that's going on in the central and eastern part of the country. And then by Friday, that wintry blast continues as far as the temperatures. It's going to be a long stretch of freezing temperatures, so we have to be prepared for that.
Quiet out west, except for the fourth quarter of the Broncos game yesterday, which was a blizzard out of nowhere.
Oh my gosh, that was really something.
Andrea, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Outrage is growing in Minneapolis following Saturday's fatal shooting of Alex Pretti. Anti-ICE protests broke out nationwide over the weekend after the 37-year-old ICU nurse was killed by a Border Patrol agent on Saturday. Despite freezing temperatures across much of the U.S., protesters took to the streets. They're demanding justice for Pretti, as eyewitness video from the moments he was killed appears to contradict some of what federal officials say happened. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest from Minneapolis.
New videos raising questions of what exactly happened in the lead up to Alex Pretti's death. The Trump administration now doubling down on defense of the officers involved. Federal officials saying agents acted in self-defense. The Department of Homeland Security posting that Pretti approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
When he did that, interacting with those agents, when they tried to get him to disengage, he became aggressive and resisted them throughout that process. These officers used their training, followed their protocols, and were in fear of their lives and the people around them. And that's how this tragedy unfolded.
At least 5 separate witness videos appear to show a different or contradicting sequence of events. Footage seen from a sidewalk, the street, inside a store, oh my God! And from a car just feet away. Videos show federal agents shoving a person with Pretti then stepping in. That's when an agent pepper sprays him in the face while Pretti clutches his phone. Seconds later, several agents wrestle Pretti to the ground, where videos do not appear to show him brandishing a weapon, as DHS had stated. This angle showing an officer swing something at Pretti's head. Pushing in on this video, you can see one agent reach behind Pretti, appearing to remove a gun from his waistband. As someone yells, "gun," that same agent appears to step away, and about a second later, the first shot is fired, followed by a flurry of gunshots.
Call an ambulance, please.
I think the key detail is, were the agents under the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm? And nowhere in that video does it show that he pointed a gun at them, brandished a gun at them. There's no piece where you can see him reaching for the gun.
Local officials say Pretti was a lawful gun owner with a permit for concealed carry. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino asked about this.
Did the officers see the weapon? Did they see him brandishing the weapon at him?
Sure. Many videos out there, many different accounts that you may see. All those minute details that will paint a true picture, not a freeze frame concept, and paint a larger picture of what really happened. That is why we investigate, so we can get to the truth, so there's not speculation.
Meanwhile, near a growing memorial in Minneapolis.
What do you see when you watch those videos?
An execution, an absolute execution. Every angle shows it, and they continue to fire bullets at him while his body was lifeless on the ground.
And tonight, regarding those officers involved in the death of Alex Pretti, Commander Greg Bovino is saying today that all of them are working. None have been placed on administrative leave. Bovino added that the group has been relocated out of state out of concerns that would be doxxed and or harassed. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Morgan, thank you.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News law enforcement analyst and retired ATF special agent in charge, Jim Kavanaugh. Jim, good morning. We just saw you, just heard you there in Morgan's piece. Give us a little bit of your analysis, but tell us more about what you make of what you see in these videos of the shooting.
What I see, Savannah, is an unjustified use of deadly force. Mr. Pretti is just trying to help someone get picked up who was pushed into snowbank. He's then pepper sprayed, and the agent tries to arrest him, probably for interfering with ICE officers. It's kind of weak in my view, but, you know, he's there, and if they deem he's in their way and obstructing, that could be a legitimate arrest. But then they're all over him, and his hands are in front of him on the tarmac. He doesn't have a gun in his hands. He's not reaching for a gun. He's not pointing or brandishing a gun. And one of the ICE agents comes over, removes a pistol from his back right waistband. It may be in his waistband or holster. You can't really tell. And he moves away with the gun. And then one of the agents next to him draws a duty weapon, steps behind him, and shoots one and then 3 times. That's what it looks like. It looks like he shot him 4 times right there. And a medical professional, I think it was the Washington Post, who did the interview, said he had 4 wounds in his back. Then he falls over on the sidewalk face up, and he's shot repeatedly about 6 times. And, he clearly is not a danger there. He's on his back, supine, gravely wounded. You can't tell in the video if his hands are visible, but where's the threat? So the obfuscation and the canards that are coming out, these are just minute details. They're not minute details. They're extremely important, large, huge details when an officer makes the decision to use deadly force. And that has to put him in an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm, him or others. Could be his fellow agents or a citizen. But where is that? That's nowhere in this video.
Jim,
now, we as analysts, and we can say that, and when we look at it.
Jim, I also want to ask you, as Morgan just reported, the Border Patrol Commander Bovino said agents involved have been relocated, but they're still working. I've never heard of that. I find anytime any sort of officer with law enforcement is involved with the shooting, they're immediately put on some sort of administrative leave. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Yes, Joe, it's okay. Every department does it a little different. The main thing is you're taking off the, the duty line where you're on heavy enforcement. Some agencies, you just go to a desk job until the pending investigation is over, so you're not out enforcing the law. There's lots of stuff to do in law enforcement agencies, intelligence support, logistics. There's all kinds of issues and tasks to do, or they could be put in another office somewhere. There's nothing wrong with that. Other agencies decide, well, you're going to be on an administrative leave, so you can go home. And some send them home for just a few days to kind of, cool down because they've just involved in a violent act and a death. So, take a week off and then come back to an administrative job until we investigate this. So the problem we're hearing is, he's a terrorist. He came there to kill everyone. None of that's shown in these videos or the prior history of this guy. I think you could argue he was obstructing, but that's not a reason to be shot 4 times in the back and murdered. So, no, I think they've got an uphill battle to try to make this a justified use of force.
All right. Jim Kavanaugh, thank you, as always, for your time and expertise.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defended ICE officers and pointed the finger at local police during an appearance on Meet the Press yesterday. Moderator Kristen Welker has more on that conversation. Kristen, good morning.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke exclusively with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche about the killing of 37-year-old Alex Pretti, an American citizen, by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis. Mr. Blanche, I just want to stay on this, though. Local officials do say Alex Pretti was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. The video seems to show at one moment an officer removing a gun in the seconds before Mr. Pretti was shot. Was he disarmed before those shots were fired?
I do not know, and nobody else knows either. That's why we're doing an investigation. It does appear that he was armed. I have heard the same thing you have, that he was lawfully armed, and that's something that's important in this country, and there's nothing wrong with anybody lawfully carrying firearms. But whether he was disarmed or whether he pulled the gun on law enforcement, whether law enforcement saw him go for the gun, what they have to do is they have to protect themselves, they have to protect the public around them, and we'll see what happens. But just make no mistake about it. This was an incredibly split-second decision that had to be made by ICE officers confronting a very complicated, violent situation with not a single local law enforcement officer in sight.
You can see my full interview and a whole lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. Let's bring in NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz for more on the reaction on Capitol Hill, where the fallout from this shooting over the weekend could actually now push the federal government into another partial shutdown. Megan, good morning. The government runs out of money this Friday, and now Senate Democrats, they're threatening to vote against a bill that would fund the Department of Homeland Security unless it comes with new restrictions on ICE. That includes some of those Democrats who broke with the party, reopening the government during that last shutdown in November. What's the strategy here? How real is this possibility that we will see a shutdown over money for ICE?
Good morning. Yes, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had announced that Democrats would not vote in favor of this appropriations bill if it includes funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Now, that's notable because the appropriations bill would ultimately need some Democratic support in order to get over the finish line. The goal here for Democrats is they really want to implement guardrails and make some changes in the way that ICE is operating. Some Democrats as well also want that DHS funding part of the bill to be taken out of the bill. That does not seem likely right now, though, because a spokesperson for Senate Majority Leader John Thune had said that this would all come up as one bill. Now, as you mentioned, we're getting close to a deadline here for a government shutdown. So if the appropriations bill does not pass by the end of the month, then we could ultimately go into a partial government shutdown here. I do want to note that even if that does happen, the administration would still have access to some immigration enforcement funds that had already been previously passed if there is ultimately a partial government shutdown here.
Megan, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota made an appeal to Republicans yesterday. This was on Meet the Press, and we're going to play a little bit of what she said when talking about this funding bill. We'll talk on the other side.
Right now, ICE, border control, what you've seen, violating the First Amendment. If they care about the Constitution, they should care about this. Violating the Second Amendment, the NRA has come out and said, I'm sorry, you can't blame Alex simply because he was a legal gun permit holder. So my point here is our Republican colleagues have to stand up and stop this. And no, I am not voting for this funding.
Megan, what are we hearing in response from Republicans when it comes to funding DHS?
Yeah, Republicans still seem to be largely in favor of funding the Department of Homeland Security, but we are starting to hear some pushback from Republicans who are saying, let's have an investigation into the shooting this weekend. So I want to point you to a post from Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska, who said that his support for funding ICE remains the same, but also said that we must also maintain our core values as a nation, including the right to protest and assemble. Now, President Trump also said in an interview that from the Wall Street Journal that they are reviewing everything. At the same time here, I also want to note that there is some pushback from Second Amendment defenders who are calling on the administration and are pushing back, basically saying that the fact that Alex Pretti had a concealed carry permit and had a gun on him at the time should not have made him a target. They're pushing back against the administration, saying that he posed a threat for having a gun on him here, guys.
Megan, are there any signs the White House is considering pulling back the federal presence in Minnesota?
So President Trump is still pushing forward with his immigration enforcement policies. That's according to a senior White House official. Now, that official had also told NBC News that that President Trump is still having conversations with aides about potentially using the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis. Now, President Trump also told the Wall Street Journal yesterday that at some point we will leave, referring to immigration officials in Minneapolis. We also heard from the president last night in a post to Truth Social calling on Democratic mayors and governors to formally work with the Trump administration, including by having local police work with federal immigration enforcement officials on these immigration enforcement operations here, guys.
All right, Megan, thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.